now we're recording. Don't mind that giant air sound you hear in the background.
That's just me talking.
Yes, it is Bob leaking.
Yeah.
No, we're in our secret location, super secret lair that has a giant loud air conditioner, but that's okay because it keeps us from sweating to death.
It's underneath a Pollos Hermanos factory.
Okay. And of course, as always, I'm Tim from Precarious Pixels.
I am Bob, and I am slowly leaking.
And Bob's slowly leaking to death. So, just to get right into it, we've been, one of us has been playing a game that is somewhat new and somewhat old. It's an old favorite, that you really love.
Yeah, it's a remake of my favorite game.
Yes.
And it's a pretty quality remake. I know it gets a lot of hate on the interwebs for having not that many new features, but it is Dark Souls Remastered, and I'll tell you what, as a console player that didn't have the capability of playing, well, I guess I had the capability, but the interest in playing Dark Souls on a PC.
Right.
With what they call DS Fix, which, I'll go into that real quick. What DS Fix did for PC players, it allowed them to play 60 frames a second.
Nice.
And with the quality that a PC game should have been launched with, DS Fix was not actually put out by FromSoft or Namco Bandai. It was just made by a guy who modded it.
Oh.
Like, he just fixed the game for them, and I think it was in some record time, like 20 minutes, the guy coded the fix.
Really?
Yeah, because it was literally just something they could have, and they didn't do it. Until they released this Dark Souls Remaster, Namco Bandai never fixed that game on PC. Yeah.
That's funny. I figured, well, maybe I guess they had not figured as like a bigger PC market or whatever. I
don't know, it's pretty big.
Yeah, I would have figured.
As a matter of fact, at the end, before they did this, I would say it was probably their biggest community for online gaming.
Okay.
For Dark Souls.
Yes.
But now, what they did with this remaster is they changed it so that all consoles have 60 frames a second.
Right.
There are 4K.
Oh, you fixed that leak.
Yeah, sorry. Just stuck a bandage on it until it cranks back in and the bandage pops in a few minutes.
Yeah, you hear a loud explosion and a lot of air again. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, too much Taco Bell.
Yeah. But you know what? Before we get into like that stuff, we should really talk. For someone who's never ever played Dark Souls, what is Dark Souls?
So Dark Souls is a third-person action platformer RPG, and I've used platformer loosely only because there's a few spots where you need to jump, and the rest of the game is not that.
Yes. Let's just say it is probably the hardest. It is
not the hardest game.
Hardest game you will ever play. You will die. That is pretty much the tagline for the game is you will die, and you will die a lot.
I'm pretty sure that was...
I'm pretty sure they had a commercial that was like, oh, you're going to die.
Yeah, I mean, the opening to the second game was a cutscene saying you will die.
You will die.
But that being said, it is not the hardest game ever. It is just about learning, just like any Nintendo or Super Nintendo game. It's just modern day Nintendo or Super Nintendo game with better graphics and cool lore. That's all it is.
And dying a lot. You die.
You'll die.
Yes.
Right? Like, even I died.
Honestly, it was kind of like refreshing because there's no way around dying. There's no cheats. You can't put it in God mode. There's nothing that's going to help you. You have to learn.
Just unlimited continues. This is already easier than a Nintendo game.
Exactly.
Right? It's already easier than a Nintendo game, Tim. Sure. What about Cuphead? Cuphead's so much harder.
All right.
Anyway, so what they did was the few upgrades they made to it, which is why the internet hates it, is that they added the 60 frames. They added up to 6-player online instead of 4.
Okay.
Meaning you can have 2 people on your team versus 3 other people. If you're doing PvP, you can summon more, which is cool.
And just to let you know, I mean, in case you haven't played Dark Souls, it is a fully fantasy type game.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're fighting, like, giant monsters, and demons, and undead, hollow people
that are like part spider and part woman.
Oh, Quelaag.
Yes,
Quelaag is a special boss.
Yes.
I believe one of the few reasons for an M rating on that game.
Oh, really? Because she's a naked lady up top?
Yeah, but they don't show anything.
Yeah.
They just, like, it's special hair coverings.
Yes, of course.
But, no, it's like, I think just the fact that she was that.
Okay.
There's not really any blood. There's no language.
Right.
I guess there's some blood. In, like, you do, like, backstabs and, like, puff of blood comes out, but I don't think that's that much different than Dark Souls 2.
Yeah, I don't think it's definitely not the goriest game I've ever seen.
No, and there's no language.
Right.
Really. There's one guy who I think says damn, and that's it.
Like just one, yeah, not really, like that's not like worth even a PG-13 rating.
Yeah, I think if it was rated again today, it probably would have even been teen.
Yeah.
Except for that one outfit, or one character. But
right.
Anyway, that being said...
Yeah, that's even if you can find her.
Oh, no, you'll have to find it.
Okay.
It's one of the few things, like, the first thing the game tells you is that you have to ring these 2 bells. And to get to the second one...
Right.
You have to fight her.
Right.
And it's behind her. And then you find out she's not really a bad person. And you're like, what?
Yeah, and this game definitely has very in-depth stories for everything.
But the cool thing is, like...
You don't know it until you actually play it.
Well, you don't even know it. Like, you wouldn't know that story. Here's the craziest part of that.
Right.
In order to find out that she's not bad...
Right.
You have to get a ring at the beginning of the game. You have to choose that ring specifically. And the game tells you it has no use. It's called the Old Witch's Ring.
Right.
And the only way you get the ability to talk to her sister who's stuck in a wall.
Right.
Is by getting that ring.
Okay.
At the beginning of the game. Meaning you turn down the master key.
Okay.
Or you choose the one specific type of character that comes with the master key. And the master key is the most useful weapon in the game because it lets you bypass certain areas, lets you open certain doors without having other keys.
Right.
Not all of them. It's not like a win key.
Right. And that's also another thing to this game. It has massive amounts of replayability.
Oh, yeah.
It is so worth your money to get.
And it's $40 now.
Yeah.
The remaster is $40. Like, why would you not?
Yeah,
As a matter of fact, if
Better
you have
graphics.
an Xbox One, you could just get Dark Souls 1. It's backwards compatible.
Right.
And you get it for like $10.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the thing that always got me was like the cool lore because like I'm playing through half the game,
right,
and I suddenly find out that I just helped out a bad guy,
right,
because he killed somebody in the hub area, which is called Firelink Shrine, and I didn't even know he did it until I went to this next area called Anna Orlando, and I used this orb that the only reason I used it is because it says it's quivering.
Right.
I use the orb and I invade his world, and you find out that he killed this innocent lady.
Right.
For no reason other than he just wanted souls. And like he's kind of mad, and he's got these 2 other jerks with him. And you're like, what?
Yeah. See, that's the thing. It's like none of the characters kind of like you meet them and they tell you their whole story. It's like you kind of just get part of the story, and then if you play a little bit deeper into the game, you get more of it. It's very interesting. It's like they give it to you very like at a spoonful at a time.
Yes, and there's so much to learn. Like a lot of the story is hidden in like item descriptions and things like that. Like most people that play Dark Souls could never really tell you specifics about things. Like you have to really pay attention. And the people who pick it up and give up after 5 minutes or an hour or 2 hours, or they get to the second boss and they're like, oh my god, with those dogs, or third boss really. Why? Like, why do you give up? Anyway, but I'd strongly recommend, if you haven't played through Dark Souls yet and you want to try something and you don't mind a challenge, the Remastered is great. And if you've played it already and you want to do PvP, the Remaster is great. If you want to play on a modern day system, the Remaster is great. Mm-hmm. But it is, people are right in saying it is bare bones.
Right.
Because don't mess with something like that. I think I would have had a problem with it if they tried to introduce some other nonsense, if they suddenly gave me different descriptions for items, or if they changed story elements.
Right.
Or if they added an NPC who just tells you what happens. Like, it ruins what the game is. It ruins the integrity of the game. And I think this is perfect, and I think the people that are complaining about it wouldn't be.
I don't think they're fans. I don't think they're fans of it, because honestly, this serves like a very, I wouldn't say niche, but it is a little bit of a niche community. But I think it has a large enough appeal where it's like you play this game because you want the difficulty of it, you want the replayability of it, you want to find a part of a story that maybe nobody else has found yet, because there is that chance that you might find something that nobody's found, that it was like there's a secret area in a secret area in another secret area that that nobody knows about. So it really has like a kind of like fun replayability and mystery to it that I think is lacking in a lot of games that are really just straightforward.
I think you're right, because at that point when I played it, mm-hmm. I don't know if I ever even talked to you about this, but when I first played it, that was just after I had lost the job that I had for a while. Remember, that was when I used to work for Blockbuster Video, and I closed down the fourth store I had worked at that closed.
Yes.
Not because of me, guys, because people didn't rent movies.
Yes.
Because of Netflix.
Apparently, all you need is Russell Crowe's jockstrap, and you can keep your Blockbuster open in Alaska.
Oh, is that?
Have you not heard of it? We'll talk about that, but it's
it's better than the phone that Russell Crowe threw at a hotel employee.
Yeah, it's from his auction, his divorce auction.
Of course, it is.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later, but yeah, it's.
But yeah, I was in like
a Blockbuster.
I had just lost my job, and
mm-hmm.
like I was in a bad way. I was, I had nothing really to focus on, and like this, I really went deep with it. Like I went all in on just enjoying something like immersion.
Yeah.
And I think this is a great game for it. And I think that's why it'll always, be special to me, but there's hundreds of thousands of people that game is a favorite or one of their favorites.
Oh yeah.
And I can totally understand it. And I don't get, well, you know me, like you've seen me talk about games before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get as immersed in story in games as I ever did in this game.
Yeah.
Because I think the cool part about it was I was there at the beginning with it.
Right.
And I was there unlocking the story as it happened. Because there's still people online who make lore videos and like interpret different things because it is up to interpretation.
Right.
And they take things differently, and I'd like to see their perspectives on what certain things mean. But anyway, on a less depressing note, it's definitely worth your $40. And if you don't own it and you want to try something cool and you don't mind a challenge, if you're gonna whine about a challenge, don't buy it, because that's what it is. It's
never. I don't think anybody has gotten through unscathed ever in that game. I mean,
I'm sure somebody's done no death runs.
You've seen it? Have you ever seen a no death run?
I'm sure I have on YouTube. I've never sat down and watched it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the no death runs rely on no skips.
Okay.
So like I'm not that guy who sits down and watches a 6-7 hour.
Oh,
sorry, I'm leaking again. But I'm not that guy who sits down and watches a 6 or 7 hour playthrough of a game.
Right, because it's that difficult.
It's real time. Like, I don't think I'd want to watch somebody do a 6 hour playthrough of the game that I love, because they wouldn't play it the way I would.
Right.
I'd rather watch them interpret the game.
Right.
I will watch fail montages, which are hilarious, or I'll watch like PvP montages. I'm into the PvP, and that's another thing. This game was not built originally to be a PvP game, but it created this whole other community.
Right. They didn't add that until the second game, right?
No, they had PvP.
Oh, they did?
But Not until the DLC did they even have an arena you can go into.
Oh, okay.
It relies on the PvP and Dark Souls base vanilla, I guess you would call it.
Okay.
Relied on invasions. And then people created fight clubs, and they created Reddits or GameFAQs forums, because I think it was before even Reddit became big.
Right.
Where they would set up specific times and dates that they would meet up to fight in the forest, and that's how crazy it is.
Right.
And you might just be playing the game and get invaded by some random person who's there for the fight club.
Right.
But yeah, I think there's very few games out there that have this type of love, and there's a reason for it. That being said, FromSoft is probably going to announce something new next week, and it might be the next big thing.
Oh, they've got like something in development?
Oh my god. They're the only studio I think out there that would do this aside from maybe Kojima.
Okay.
They put out a trailer at the Tokyo Game Show that doesn't have a name. It doesn't have a system. It just has a tagline, Shadows Die Twice.
Yes, I think we talked about that briefly.
Which could be Bloodborne 2.
Could be.
Spoiler alert, it's probably not. It could be Tenchu.
Which would be insane.
Like, I would love Tenchu with Dark Souls combat.
It would be a great, open world.
Oh my god, can you imagine if you messed up in Tenchu and didn't immediately get into a battle, there was no way to win?
Right.
I'd love it. It could even be Demon Souls.
Oh, like a sequel to Demon Souls. Because in a way, Demon Souls is the sequel to Dark Souls.
No.
But in a different way, right?
Dark Souls is the sequel to Demon Souls.
That's right, I'm sorry.
But it's a spiritual successor.
Right.
The reason being, you probably don't know this, but Demon Souls was funded by Sony, or produced, or exclusive, or whatever, however you want to say it.
Right.
I say Sony bankrolled them partially.
Right.
And nobody will ever admit it. But Dark Souls was not. Dark Souls was published by... Oh, actually, they published it. So, yeah, they'll admit it.
Right.
Dark Souls was published by Namco Bandai,
right.
who was not involved in Demon Souls. And then Bloodborne, Sony saw how well Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2 did, so they said, hey guys, come over and help us make Bloodborne. So they made Bloodborne. But before that, FromSoft had done Tenchu. They had done one of those, was it Front Mission or was it Armored Core? They did one of the mech fighting games.
Yeah, I do remember that.
So, the hell, it could be a mech fighting game. It could be mech fighting, but it doesn't look like it. The trailer looks very... I don't know how to explain it, but very brutal weapons that look...
medieval?
They look medieval or even steampunk, so it could be Bloodborne, or it could be Dark Souls, or it could be Demon Souls, or it could be... It's definitely not their space game, which is what they said they were doing next, because it doesn't look future.
But who knows? Maybe they're going to do it, as a weird hybrid of, everything.
That particular studio is a mystery to me. Mm-hmm. They started out so small, and now they're bigger, but they're still not super big. And they managed to put out Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin and Bloodborne at almost the same time.
It's impressive.
They're very good at what they do.
Yeah.
And that being said, don't start with Dark Souls 2 ever. Because it's their worst one.
Right. But the first Dark Souls has been their favorite.
A lot of people will tell you Demon Souls or Bloodborne.
Yeah.
Bloodborne is almost a completely different style of combat, because there's no shields, really. There's a shield, but they make a joke about it. It's all about dodging and fast combat. Dark Souls is very slow and methodical, especially the first one is very clunky. 2 is clunkier, in my opinion, but they made a lot of weird decisions with that one. Yeah, that hopefully they never make again.
Yeah, but hopefully they keep making these games, because honestly, I think they have a very unique market that's starting to kind of expand. I think more people know Bloodborne than even know the other ones that they've worked on, like Dark Souls and so forth.
Probably. Well, maybe. I don't know, because Dark Souls is really big right now.
Okay.
And it's more I don't know how to. More people have access to it because Bloodborne you can literally only play on a PS4.
Okay.
Dark Souls you can play on PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, Xbox One, PC, and Switch soon.
Oh, okay.
Interestingly enough, the guys who ported Dark Souls Remastered aren't the guys doing the Switch port.
Okay.
And it got delayed until whenever.
Until whenever?
Question mark.
That's funny.
Along with the amiibo they were making for the Switch, which they haven't even said what the functionality is. What?
Why?
Why? Because it's Solaire, so why would you not?
Okay. Sure.
But anyway, speaking of sequels that get leaked ahead of their time, not really.
Yes. So
we can go with either of those.
We'll talk about the odyssey that is the next Assassin's Creed, because we're out of Egypt now, and now we're in ancient Greece.
We are. Maybe.
I mean, unless this is some weird fake leak, but I
it's
doubt
not.
it.
No, it's them. Like they officially tweeted.
They officially got okay.
Yeah, like almost like the tweet is almost like more to come.
Okay,
but they haven't said when. They haven't said what. They showed a little picture. I think that was them.
Okay.
But essentially, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is probably ancient Greece.
Yes.
And it's probably going to be this year.
Okay.
And it was definitely part of that Walmart leak, which means that there's almost no chance that Splinter Cell doesn't exist, and I'm so hyped. And it's weird because Ubisoft said that Assassin's Creed Odyssey exists.
Okay.
But they still haven't said Splinter Cell exists, and I'm really mad at them.
Okay.
Because there were two other games that they showed there in that leak that were just pictures with wrong spellings and things like that I want them to admit to.
Okay.
Splinter Cell.
Yeah.
I want them to give it a subtitle, which they haven't done yet. And how about admitting finally that Beyond Good and Evil 2 will exist at some point soon? Because they've been working. That's the only game I've ever seen that doesn't get as much flack as it should for being announced, then being announced later.
Right.
Like 3 years later, and then being announced that they were going to start working on it. And then showing a CG trailer. I think it worked in that order.
Now, Beyond Good and Evil, that's the one where... Is that the one where you're a god?
No, you're thinking Black and White.
Black and White, yeah.
Beyond Good and Evil was the one where you were like space photographer. But it was
that's
like an action adventure game with the pig friend.
Yes, I do remember that now.
And
they did have a crazy trailer for that.
They did. You know what? I think the trailer came before they announced that they were going to work on it.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's so stupid.
And what it was like a fully like...
It was fully CG.
It was like a short film.
It was what they call bullshot.
Yeah.
Bullshot in the gaming community, the online gaming community, because I'm a nerd, is when they show footage of a game or a picture of a game that clearly isn't real.
Right.
It's the Battlefield 5 stuff they put out last week or 2 weeks ago. Guys, there's no way. When we can admit it to ourselves, then we'll see what the game really looks like in a few months. That being said, Star Wars Battlefront 2 looked good.
It did. Yeah.
It has a lot of similarities to Battlefield 5. Hey, there's no season pass, guys. Could we talk about Battlefield 5? I didn't even think
let's talk about it.
Because there's really nothing to say about Assassin's Creed aside from the fact that it's going to exist.
Yeah.
Battlefield 5, they put out a trailer. Let me draw back to Battlefield 1 real quick.
Okay.
The big thing with Battlefield 1 was that they had an African-American soldier on the cover.
Right.
It got a lot of press for that. So what do they do with Battlefield 5? They can't do an African-American guy again because, they did that.
They have a lady with one arm.
They have a lady on the cover with one arm?
I think that's... Well, at least in the trailer I saw was, I think she was the one who had the hook hand.
Maybe.
I think that was her.
I know.
And she's British.
But they put a lady on the trailer this time. And, of course, they're getting press for it. But you know what they're not getting? Any interest at all.
Yeah.
So then, not a lot of people are talking about it, so what do? Hey, guys, there's no season pass. All right, not a lot of people are talking about your game now, so what do you say next? There's no loot boxes. Do you know what they have?
Loot boxes.
Nope, they're not called loot boxes.
Oh.
They're called
And we've talked about this before. Other companies have these just money grabs for them. That's really what it is. They just want a money grab from you.
Well, it's called airdrops, I think. It's air something drops. Whatever. The point is, it gets you customization items, right?
Right.
And guess what? They're probably going to charge for it.
Exactly.
So saying you're not going to charge for it is not the best idea. And probably think about basing your game build on the successes and failures of your past. And I use failures. It's very important that I use failures here because there were two other games I can think about that EA was sure to announce beforehand that they didn't have a season pass.
Right.
There's Titanfall 2, which severely underperformed.
Right.
And then there was Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Right.
Both of these games severely underperformed. Both of these games had microtransactions.
Right.
One of these games had a good story.
Yes.
The other one of these games had a story. And man, if you're not... The other problem they had with Titanfall 2, we'll go back to Titanfall 2 and how it didn't sell well.
Right.
Do you know when they released Titanfall 2?
Actually, that's funny. I don't remember at all.
The week after Battlefield 1.
Okay.
By the way, guys, come on. Battlefield 5.
Yeah.
You called the last one Battlefield 1.
Yeah. We've talked about how they...
Did we talk about the World War II name scheme?
Yes, and how it really makes no sense.
Oh, it was a negative sense.
Yeah.
But Titanfall 2 also was released the week after Battlefield 1.
Right.
And the week or 2 weeks or week and a half before Call of Duty. So what do they do this year knowing that they're not going to... that they're going to rely on this game? Like, this is going to be their big action game this year. At least unless they announce some sort of craziness. Hey, how about Dead Space 4, guys? How about you reopen Visceral? Anyway. Yeah. They released Battlefield 5 October 19th.
Okay.
It's very important that it's October 19th because October 12th is Call of Duty.
Right.
October 26th is Red Dead Redemption.
Right.
Which they just announced a special edition and an ultimate edition for today. It's not going to do well there. It's not going to do well there at all. The smart play would be to move it to November.
Right.
Mid to late. The smartest play would be November 16th because what are you up against? I doubt Pokemon is going to hurt your sales.
Yeah, because that's almost a different player set.
It's the perfect time to release it because you're going to get all the Black Friday sales on the people who bought the other games.
Right.
Because that's what you should be looking at. Unless you release it September or unless you release it November, you're not going to... Sorry, I know people are mad at Call of Duty. There's no way you should go toe-to-toe with it.
Right.
It's never going to turn out well. And if you go toe-to-toe with Call of Duty and you're comfortable with that, are you really comfortable going toe-to-toe with Red Dead?
Right.
It's just not a good business decision. And the worst part is, they were the last ones to announce their date. It wasn't like Call of Duty stepped out in front of them.
Right. It wasn't like they announced it and then like, oh, but we're releasing it this time.
And I get why it has to be October in their eyes, because it's their third quarter.
Right.
But if it's safe for October, it could be safe for August. How about you get ahead of your August releases? The game's going to be half done when you release it anyway. Be honest with yourselves.
Yeah. I guarantee there'll be a lot of DLC and...
Well, there's no season pass. So the DLC will be free.
Right.
Because it'll be paid for by the microtransactions. It's clearly not going to be paid for by the fans because it's the worst possible release. They couldn't... The only worst day to release it would be on October 12th or October 26th.
Gotcha.
And here's the best part. If you get their deluxe edition, which includes 20 of those airdrops and 5 squad outfits and all this other nonsense, it's meaningless.
Is any of this helpful to actually beating the game?
No. You don't understand. That's all multiplayer, and it's all cosmetics.
Okay. Is that how they're getting around, like, saying that this is, like, what they have done in the past, where it's, like, gambling to get to, like, what stuff that you want, basically?
They're saying it's cosmetic because you can't pay for better gear.
Right.
Because that would be bad. But you can pay to have your World War II soldier riding around on a pink unicorn.
Sure.
Why wouldn't you? That's going to look good in color in Battlefield. Like, that's the thing, right? If you want your character to look different, which is what people want, all the money made in Fortnite right now is cosmetics.
Right.
There's literally no gear in that game you can buy that makes you better or worse than any other player. It just makes you different. It is making millions and millions of dollars. Battlefield is not going to ignore that.
Right.
Just like Call of Duty didn't ignore it with their Blackout mode, which is their Battle Royale mode, or their Fortnite mode.
Okay.
However you want to call it.
Yeah. Because they see, like, oh, this is popular. We want to put that in there as well.
Right.
Because we want to get that Fortnite money.
And the rumors are that Red Dead's going to have that. And I don't even know how you do that. Like, they'd have to drop you somehow. That's the only thing I can't figure out. First planes were in the 20s, right?
Yeah.
Brothers?
I'm
so
trying to think.
it's not going to be that.
Yeah.
They have to figure out some way to drop you in an area, or you just spawn there in random spots. And then it's... Because if they do it, they'll do it right. Like, one thing Rockstar does is they do it right. And they have their microtransactions. They make a lot of money on their microtransactions. But they don't charge you for extra content.
Yeah.
They don't gouge you with it. And you can earn it. And what you buy in Grand Theft Auto, as an example, you know what you're getting. The scuzziest thing about me leaking, the scuzziest thing about loot boxes is that it's random.
Yeah. That is something that I feel is unnecessary that they've been doing. If I want to pay for an upgrade or a different outfit or to ride a pink unicorn during World War II.
Why would you not want to?
Exactly. I should be able to get that choice, not, I have to pay for so many airdrops until I get the one that I actually am looking for. Like, that shouldn't happen. But they know that until you get that thing, you'll keep putting money into it, which is so sleazy. It is such a sleazy practice to take advantage of your fan base. That's your fan base. That's like, hey, you want to know how Infinity War ends? Well, you have to keep going to the movie theater until you get to the theater that actually has the actual ending of the movie. It's so scuzzy to do that. You should not have to do that for a game that you've already paid for, that you've already paid a full price for.
I mean, yeah. It started with... I don't even know where it started, but Mass Effect, I think, is the best example, right?
Mass Effect.
Mass Effect 2 had extra story missions in the DLC. And it's straight up, it's Starship Troopers. It's would you like to know more? And then you can pay for it.
Right.
Mass Effect 3 was going to have the original ending behind it. Like, the true ending of Mass Effect 3 is still, to this day, DLC. They had to make it free because the ending that they put in the game was so bad.
Right. I do remember that happening.
But it's EA. Like, it's just... They are...
They want that money.
I mean, they'd get that money if they just made Solid. But if you make a solid product, people will buy said solid product. Yeah.
So, hopefully, like, if this is a colossal failure for them, they'll learn from this. I doubt that's gonna happen, but we'll see. The only thing that I think we haven't really talked about coming out. Well, this is not something that's going to be down the line. We'll probably talk more about it. Rick and Morty, just recently they announced they have a 70 episode order. Now, for an animated show, that is like unheard of. That is gambling on the success of a show that you're going to get like at least 5 or 6 more seasons out of, hands down. And Dan Harmon just announced that on Twitter. And I think it's like, I'm not sure how they were able to get this deal, which is kind of explains why they haven't gotten, like, everybody was kind of like, they hadn't announced the new season yet, but everybody figured there was going to be a new season announcement. But I think Dan Harmon decided to play like, well, I'm too distracted doing these other not games, but other things and shows and stuff, like writing, movies or whatever, to make extra money, because I can't focus on just this cartoon show because I don't know if I'm going to have another season or blah, blah, blah. So 70 episodes.
That's crazy.
You're getting your Rick and Morty, hands down. You're going to see some Pickle Rick forever, I'm sure, or whatever else they're going to come up with.
Well, I think that's the thing. So far, they don't really do a lot of moving backwards.
Yeah.
Like, it seems to be pretty much original every time.
Absolutely.
And they're going to need to do... I would assume that 70 puts them at 100. Like, that's got to put them at 100 episodes.
Pretty close to it. I'm pretty sure that's.
It would have to be. I think
it is. I think it is 100 episodes.
Because that gets them syndicated, and I'm sure that's Cartoon Network is just as happy about this as they are.
Right. Because, and they've seen how fanatic the fans are.
Oh, they're crazy.
Like they, and I think this also kind of gets the fans off Dan Harmon's back, because there's, like, as he put it, there's 15-year-olds cursing him out, saying get back to work, when it's just like, well, I don't have a guarantee of a job. Now he's saying, this is my guarantee of a job. We'll put effort into this. We'll put the amount of effort that Justin Roiland, the creator, co-creator with him, can finally put into this show. And I think that's great, because it's like, since he started his own studio, I think that's what he's wanted to do, is something that's just like, it's him. He can call the shots on it, like, and that will definitely, going forward, like, really do some amazing work. If he keeps up the quality, I think it'll be, because it's not dipped. Last season they cut the season short, but I think the quality was there. I mean, Pickle Rick alone, like, I can't tell you how many memes I've seen of that, how many people dress like that. It's insane. But we're coming to a close here. So, as always, for Precarious Pixels, I am Tim, and that's I'm Tim Marnick, or at Tim Marnick on the Instagrams, and Bob is...
I'm at Bob_Martin, Marton, on the tweets.
Yeah, and as always, you can find us on Stitcher, Spreaker, and...
the Tubes of You.
Yeah, the iTunes and YouTube under Precarious Pixels. So leave us a review, comment, send us a message. We're always hashtag it Precarious Pixels. We're always happy to reply. And do your stuff, do your designing, do your creative stuff. We're going to have some announcements coming up soon. So
yeah, and write why you think EA is going to fail.
Yes, right. Guaranteed. All right. So we'll be talking to you soon. So take care.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
To do a little redesigning with us, you can find Bob at Martin, MARTON_BOB, on Twitter, and you can find me on Instagram at Tim Martinek, all one word, TIMMARTINEC. And you can join in us, have some fun, do your redesigns for this week's redesign. It's a lot of fun for us to do this, but we like to see fresh ideas and fresh artists like doing what they do as well. You can also hashtag it Precarious Pixels, and we'll find it as well.